I think what I'll do is I'll try something a little bit different for mine and yours amusement here. I'll let you see my room. Well, this is a room in a house I live in, and I'm gonna. There's this kind of a fixation I have with things. Okay, if I buy something, I'm very, 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 very reluctant to throw it away, even though it's broken or it doesn't really have any apparent uses. The main reason I think I have a problem with not being able to throw things away is because it connects me with my past. An object, particularly books, mostly books, I would say, are a kind of a connection to my past. I mean, there was a time in my life where I saw the book at a store, I saw it online, and I bought it and I read it, and it was a certain, it did something for me. It passed on information for me, so, or magazine or whatever. So what I have here is a collection of books, and some of these books I'll buy if I like somebody's YouTube channel. I'll buy the book that they have, or they're writing, or they're selling. It's kind of like a way to support people. I mean, if you like somebody's channel and you watch their videos a lot, then I mean, it would seem logical that you would buy their book, like this guy here, Hexhammer, or 666 Sticks Hexhammer 666. So I watch his videos, and he's very interesting commentator, mostly about different subjects, and he writes books, and he's written quite a few books, and I'm starting this one here, and it's kind of interesting. It's about how to survive after a nuclear war, and so I'm reading that. And then somebody recommended a book for me, this book here. So I bought it, and it's kind of interesting. It's just about, the dilemma of, how to live in the world. If God isn't there and it's atheism, then how do you deal with the world? How do you look at the world without a God? This is an eye-opener here. Gosh, I read this on the train down to Southern California, and it really hits home to how dependent we are as a society on oil, fossil fuels, particularly transportation fuels. And at the time this book came out, there was an oil, prices were spiking in oil, and it was the peak of just about before the financial crisis hit. And it's a very, very, very eye-opening book. If you want to know what the world would be like, or what would happen if there was an oil crisis, a real oil crisis, this book paints a pretty dire picture of that. What else do I have in here? I got mostly videos on this wall, some audiobooks. This is an interesting. This is a book I haven't really read much. I mean, this guy. He's got a YouTube channel, and he lives in Northern California, somewhere around San Francisco, and he's a theology student, and he's got very, very intricate ways of explaining his ideas. He delves into a lot of other authors. He's particularly read in certain genre of philosophy and theology, and trying to kind of commingle philosophy and theology and science together. And he's kind of hard to understand, but I get some of what he says, but I don't agree with a lot. I agree with some of it, but not too much of what he says is kind of woo-woo. And this other book here, this was Professor Anton's book that I've been reading on and off. And he's another author that's very eloquent. He's very interesting writing. So there's people I watch their YouTube channels, and I get their book because it's kind of my way of supporting them, what they do. There's other people I watch. Lawrence Krauss, I got his Universe from Nothing book on audio. I got Mikio Keiku's The Physics of the Future. I got Richard Dawkins' A God Delusion. What else do I have in here? That book-wise, I got another couple books in here. There was another guy that had a YouTube channel, God Decays, Benjamin Cain. I really haven't started that. I've been waiting to take a train trip, so I'll do that. And there's some other books I'd had for school, a lot of AutoCAD books. This has got, when I bought my solar panels, these came wrapped in there. There's a book I had on, this I bought Ross Perot's book a long time ago when he was running for office. He made sense. He was a good guy. I mean, he knew what he was talking about as far as other books that I have in here. So that's you know, and it's summertime, and I've been outside a lot, working around the garden, so I haven't had much time inside. Yeah, I enjoy watching other people's videos. I'd say I'd spend probably about maybe 20 to 30% of my time that I'm not working when I'm home on YouTube watching or listening to. Sometimes I'll put my wireless headphones on those, and I'll walk and I'll do stuff around the yard or do things around the house, and I'll wear them. And what I do is I watch the videos that are like the hangout videos that are like a couple hours long. I'll put those on and I'll just listen to what the people are talking about. I usually won't look at the screen. I'll just listen, you know, walk around, do things, keep busy, and do that. I watch a lot of economics channels, different people that do commentaries on economics and the economy and the news. They do commentary on the news. There's people that read news articles too. They go out and find news articles. People like Mary Greeley and Pink Sapphire. I forget the call letters, are maybe that's long, but her name's Pink Sapphire. She reads articles, and then there's Humpty Dumpty Tribe, and there's In Mendham. There's Raw Dog, the Raw Dog Show, and then I listen to Tacos Mineros and Gregory Monterino and Gerald Celente. Sometimes I'll listen to Gerald Celente. Sometimes I'll listen to like the people that are like gloom and doom, you know. The economy, you know, the banking system's crashing, you know, the dollar's going to be worthless, blah blah blah, and that, you know, I think they want to overemphasize things, you know. And then there's a climate problem too. I've been listening to who's that professor? And Mendham interviewed him. Oh gosh, I can't forget his name. He talks a lot about the methane cathlate problem. There's so much. The methane we're having an extreme amount of releases of methane into the atmosphere. And methane is very, very, very powerful greenhouse gas. It's more powerful than CO2. And what that's going to do is it's going to raise the ambient, which is the average global temperature, ambient temperature of the globe, so far. And what's happening now is a lot of the ocean water is absorbing the temperature. So we're not really, it's not directly, it goes into the atmosphere, heats up, but the atmosphere heats up the oceans. And the oceans take a long time, they're very, there's a lot of density in water, so it takes a lot to heat up the water. So eventually it's going to be like a big, huge, heavy freight train that's moving down the tracks, and we're these ants. And so like we can get like, you can put 1 million ants on the rails of a big, heavy freight train in front of the freight train, but the freight train may slow down, you know, 0.0001% because it runs over the ants. And what's going to happen is the climate system, which it is a whole system, is becoming more it's becoming less stable. It's becoming more erratic, more unpredictable. There's more variation between coldness and hot, and that's going to cause a lot of problems in the future. But okay, for us, we'll all be dead, but the younger people, the little kids and the babies that are being born today, all these little children, when you see little kids, you'll look at them and think they're going to be the ones that have to deal with the bulk of the problems that, like the radioactive waste problems and the ocean acidification and pollutions and the global warming. Particularly the kids are the little children, the babies, the kids that are being born today, the toddlers. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with the brunt of the problem. But I know a lot of people think, well, they'll be so smart by then, they'll have supercomputers, they'll have artificial intelligence, people will be living in space, they'll be like terraforming Mars and that, and they think everything will be fine for them because by then all the computers will be so advanced that computers will be able to solve the problems. Robots will be able to do work, but I don't know. That's this guy here. I mean, he's very, very, very optimistic about the future. He's so optimistic that it's almost unbelievable. So he's kind of like that guy Kurzweiler too. They're another one of these overly optimistic people about the future. But maybe we need optimism. Maybe if you're not optimistic, you'll go crazy. If you think about all the problems, and you try to if you start dwelling on everything that's wrong all the time, then you have to, just as a person, you got to live anyways. You might as well try to be happy. And if it's interfering with your happiness, all these problems, you're worrying about problems in the world, then the best thing you can do as a person is try to look at how your own lifestyle affects everyone else. Look at how you as an individual affect the rest of the planet by your decisions that you make, either as a consumer or as someone that's, how you live affects, everyone else. You drive a lot, or you consume a lot, or you're eating a lot of meat, or so once a lot of what you try to do is solve a lot of your own problems, it's good that you could help teach your family members, you teach the youngsters, being a good example for others, and not worry too much about the world, not try to get so bogged down in all problems and everything that's happening that's wrong with the world, and start just being a happy person and getting outdoors and looking at flowers and singing and maybe dancing once in a while, or just being easygoing, smiling, being happy. You need that to be healthy. If you're too pessimistic all the time, which I have a problem with, I'm too pessimistic. I look and I see the bad side, of the dark side of humanity most of the time, but I try to, when I'm in the world, I got to put on the clown suit and the happy face and smile, and everything's fine, and be like, how. And people ask, how you doing? How you doing? And I'll say, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm fine. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's great. I'm smiling all the time and happy, and that way, when I'm at work, when I'm at my job, and I'm in a business function, that I'm like accepted as being normal. Because if I start telling everybody, I don't feel good, the world, this place is getting me down, I don't think I want to live anymore here, and start talking like that, then, but that's the way I really feel inside some of the time, because this place is like, it's a powder keg is what it is. It's a powder keg, and it's a fast train that's going on these tracks. The tracks are breaking apart, and there's a cliff up ahead. More in another way of putting it in a nutshell kind of way, So it's been a while since I do these videos, so I don't really have a lot to say that hasn't already been said. Other people said better than I can say it. So anyhow, yeah. Oh man. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? This place. Signing off.